Rise and shine. So today we are talking about being a living sacrifice for God. In Romans 12, the entire chapter, it tells us how to live as a living sacrifice to God. It starts the chapter off as, "And so, dear brothers and sisters, I plead with you to give your bodies to God because of all he has done for you. Let them be a living and holy sacrifice, the kind that he will find acceptable. This is truly the way to worship him." And then he continues down in the chapter with ways we can do this by not copying the behaviors and the customs of the world, but letting God transform us, by not thinking too highly of ourselves and truly evaluating and measuring ourselves by the faith that God has given every man, meaning, like, we're all on an even ground when God looks at us. We build our faith and we build things based on how much time we spend with the Lord, how much faith we actively use in everyday situations and things like that. He also talks about our gifts and how we should use our gifts to serve others. And, if you're a teacher, teach well. If you have the gift to encourage well. And then, he goes into how to deal with our enemies and the sacrifice of dealing with our enemies. And we're not to go ahead and seek revenge on our enemies. We are to pray for our enemies. We are to still be kind to the people that are unkind to us, because that is a sacrifice to God. He also goes in to talk about, when people are happy, be happy with them. That's a hard thing for us, because in this day and age, as soon as you see somebody happy, they doing too much. Like, ain't nobody that happy. Yeah, some people are that happy. When you walk with God, you tend to be that happy. And then he also speaks about, weeping with people when they weep, which is another thing we have trouble with. When people are going through things and people are grieving and people are sad, we've gotten this thing in us where now it's just like, okay, you get up, you still crying about that? Like, sit down and grieve with them for a second. Like, let them know that somebody is there for them. And then, he goes on to talk about working hard and not being too proud. And all of these things in chapter 12 are ways that we can be a living sacrifice to God. We are not doing what we want to do. We are doing what God would have us to do and what is pleasing to God at the discomfort of ourselves, because many of these things are things that we don't naturally do or want to do, but they are things that, with the help of the Holy Spirit, we can become better at doing.